we have talked about emergency preparedness on and off, and I'm going to show those clips in just a minute. Some of you, after you watch this broadcast, will need to probably go out there and buy some extra cans of this and extra cans of that, which I'll talk about in a minute. I watched a program last night on YouTube. I go through YouTube and see what information that is helpful to me. And this was not a prophetic or maybe not even a Christian site. And there was a guy on it, and he was saying, we've told you this day was coming. This was planned both by the deep state and the good guys. And we told you this was going to happen, and the power's out. And he goes, if you're out there and you don't have any backup supplies, I don't know what to tell you. I just shut him off. I'll tell you what, I know what to tell you. It's not too late. The grocery stores are still open. But the way things are going, let's do this. Let's show the container ship situation. Maybe first the wide shot of all the ships from kind of a satellite position, Jeff. Those are container ships. Those are ships that on any one of those are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and the numbers are a little bit squeaky, but let's do this. Let's show the big, those are all in line trying to get to port in Los Angeles. They're full of goods. Let's show just one container ship. That's one container ship. And there are somewhere between 100 and 154, some say 70, but somewhere between, 70 and 100 container ships. Each container ship, we were doing this research before the show. Let's do it this way. Out of 70 ships, they did it. The news reported that there were 70 of these ships out there, and that totaled 432,000 containers. One of those containers, people sometimes use those for a house. They'll take those and they'll put in rooms and things. These are massive containers. And, and they have things like toilet paper, food, supplies, toiletries, medicine. We don't know what's in those ships. God knows what's in it, but we don't know what's in them. But that's why we're talking about emergency preparedness, and why after the show you probably better run out and get your TP. We have heard that Costco is limiting numbers of TP right now. And we did just like a couple days ago, I ordered some canned soup with, the chunky kind with lots of fillings in it. And so you order things like baked beans, things that you could open and even eat cold and they'd still be safe and in case your power goes out. But these are kind of intense times. And let's do this. Let's go ahead and throw up the first word that we published on the Elijahs that we wanted to show you. This was we showed this on February of this year. I'll read it from Hank. It says, and he gave the word on September of 2019. So it's been a couple of years. He said, and there shall be great power outage, and for a season, within a day, it shall be dark. And this shall grip the hearts of men, and they shall be afraid. God says, but when the lights come on, rejoice in that day, for those that sat in darkness in this region, and the place of early settlement shall see a great light, and it shall be a natural sign of an awakening that I have brought. And I'm doing upon this land. I don't know what early settlements. I mean, we were early settlements in this land, so it may well be about that. Then the next one is, pulled up that word, September 20 of 2019. Hank had this word. We also showed you this in February. Watch as it manifests across the earth, power outages, and this shall cause men to fear. Why do you fear? God says, there shall be restoration of light, and when the power switch comes back on, pay attention to the places, for this shall be a unique sign to show that the awakening that I'm bringing is greater than the agenda of hell that has been against the people of this planet. Okay, now we have one more word for you, and this one Hank had on January 14, and that was also, we gave you that in February 17. For there shall, did we read that one already? Okay, well anyway, I'll read it. For there shall be power outages in unique places. Do not fear when this takes place. For God says, when the light comes back, you shall see these places. You shall see in those places there shall be those that sat in darkness that shall see a light of a different kind, for they shall be awakened. And I know we had something of Charlie Shamp, but I don't know if it made that to this program. But Charlie Shamp has been telling us for the better part of a year to be sure and be prepared. So if I were you, I would do. My wife and I made sure we got to the bank and we have cash on hand that we put in a safe. And so If there were 10 days, some people have been saying all year that we're going to have 10 days of outage, 10 days of darkness, they call it. There are power struggles in the spirit and in the political realm. There's the deep state coming against the white hats, the good guys, and Trump and all of that. And things that are happening like yesterday with Facebook is very likely not a coincidence. Someone took that down. And the first rumors were there was a rumor that someone said 13 Chinese college students took Facebook down. I don't think so. I think God using the good guys probably is giving us a wake-up call and giving Facebook a wake-up call. That's just my opinion. It's not a word of the Lord. But I would suspect that this week we'll see more outages. I've been wondering when this day would arrive, and it does seem to have arrived. So type your questions in there. If there's anything that someone sees that they really think we should answer, you can type it in my screen. But let's bring Amanda on. Hey, Amanda, so are you listening to this word?
Hi. Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Well, when the enemy is in a complete panic, out of desperation, he is going to begin to do everything to cause the people of God to fear, so then they don't use and utilize from their mouths the word, and they don't activate the prayers, and they basically are so distracted with fear that then it dilutes the power. So to me, these are all test runs that they're doing. These are all test runs in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See how much people will panic, to see how much reach they get, say by things going out for 6 hours, or for power going out sporadically. They're always going to run a test. It's like the rumblings before the earthquake.
Right.
This is the rumblings before the earthquake.
Yeah. It's intense. And, on those words, Hank said 3 different words, 3 different times: don't fear, don't fear, don't fear. And the enemy is trying to do just that.
Exactly.
And that's a hard thing to walk, because when I showed you the container ships, and I don't know if I said it adequately, but those are all in line trying to get in, and they can't, because the ports are either closed, or the people have COVID, or they've been fired because they didn't get a vaccine, or the deep state's trying to keep them offshore on purpose to scare us, right?
Let me show you a picture.
Yeah.
So this is from our local Stop and Shop. This is the paper towel and toilet paper aisle.
Oh, wow. This is current.
This was from today. My husband's aide, Rebecca, went to get us groceries because she knew I had to be on with you today, Mr. Steve. So she went, and she sent me this picture. And this is from today.
Wow. And that's a grocery store or Costco or what?
Yeah, it's a Stop and Shop.
Okay. Looks like a big warehouse one. So the run is on, it sounds like. And our goal is not to have fear and not to be in fear, because even though they're practicing on us, we already had our own dry run a few months ago, and we all survived. We had to make the toilet paper last longer, So
this is why it's, being prepared is using wisdom.
Yeah.
The Lord wants us to use wisdom. He's given us a brain. He's given us the ability to use it. He's given us his word. And there's nothing wrong with being prepared, because in being prepared, you can also help others and intervene.
Yeah. I want to read something, if I can pull it up. I'm not sure if I can. I don't have permission to use the name. So I'm just going to, hopefully I can get back to this, but I'm looking at it right now. It's a prophet you would all recognize. And I said to this prophet, I just didn't have time to ask him his permission to use this. And I said, has the Lord spoken to you about the 10 days of darkness that people use, or time, darkness and all that? Here's an exact quote he typed for me. Quote, he hasn't spoken to me about this, not a word concerning this, but I believe their scarcity plan is in play. Yeah. I believe a crash is coming, but it will be short-lived. Now, that's from a trustworthy prophet, and you have to realize, not every time a prophet's mouth isn't moving, he's not prophesying. Every time his mouth is moving, he's only prophesying when he's prophesying. He's coming right out here and telling you God has not spoken one word about this to me. And then he comes on with his own self. He says, but I believe their scarcity plan is in play, the enemies. I believe a crash is coming, but it will be short-lived. So that's the wisdom part.
Yes.
See what I mean? And that's one thing I tried to, let me make sure I get back to you. I lost you for a minute. There you go. So the wisdom part is, just because you're a prophet doesn't mean God's going to always tell you every single thing. He's telling somebody that, but
Yeah.
he didn't tell
That's what
this guy.
separates us from God. He's not going to tell us every single detail. That's why he's God and we're not. And he has all the information. And in his mercy, he chooses to share it with those that are tuned in to him. You know, he chooses
Right.
to give pieces of it in order to prepare his people.
Yeah. And, you know, we
Yeah.
talked about already, we've said that a couple of times about a dry run or a practice run. When Facebook went down yesterday and
Which
all of a
is
sudden there's
rare.
only, yeah, it's extremely rare. That gives us another practice run. That means people go, oh, maybe this thing is real. I better get to the store because it might be my phone's next or the power next. So I think God in his wisdom let that thing go down and wake everybody up and saying, okay, I'm not going to try this one more time. I'm going to get to the store and see what's there for me. So